How you doing, guys? We're back for another whiskey review. This time a single malt Scotch. This is under the brand known as the Singleton, and this is the Singleton of Glendullan, matured in sherry casks and bourbon casks, American oak and European sherry, of course. 40% alcohol by volume. And it's, like I said, single malt. This is from Dufftown. Now, I got some extensive notes. This was kind of a delayed review. I bought this a couple weeks back now. It took me a while because there was some confusion when I was looking this up for information. I found another couple of whiskeys that were under the same, basically the same brand name, and it's a little confusing to me. Now, I will show in this book here. This is Great Whiskeys. It's not that great of a book, actually, but it's a handy little coffee table reference. Here you'll see the Singleton of Dufftown. Okay? And so, basically, this is a Speyside. All these Singletons are Speyside malt, all located in Speyside. Dufftown is in Speyside. It's considered, well, self-proclaimed the whiskey capital of the world because they have per capita more distilleries in their town than any other place. Apparently, I think there's only 6 active ones at the moment, but at the time when it became really famous, there was about 7, and there's a couple of defunct ones that are still sitting there that are not being used at the moment. Might be used eventually, who knows. The most famous one in there is Glenfiddich. But anyway, these guys were established basically in 1895, 96, somewhere around there. Didn't begin making stuff until about 97. Up until this point, most of their distilleries in Dufftown were known, especially this one, was known only for supplying malts to other whiskey makers, other distilleries. But now they've started making their own stuff. The difference between the different Singletons is that they release it from a different under a different distillery name for each region of where they sell, and I'm not sure if there's big differences between how they taste depending on the region, but the Dufftown one is pretty much strictly for the European market. This one here, the Glendullan, is USA, North America. They also have Singleton of Glenord, which is mostly in Asia. Singleton of Dufftown actually replaced Singleton of Ochorisk, or Ochroisk, something along those lines. I can't pronounce that. I couldn't even find a pronunciation of that online. I did a lot of digging, and there's a lot of stuff. I'm actually going to supply a link that explains this much better than I just did, but it was very interesting. Did a lot of research for a whiskey that I might argue doesn't really deserve that much research, but we'll get into that now. Okay. Just as I said, single malt. I don't know, might be a little bit of caramel coloring in there. Seems like there might be. At 40%, you know, even if it's not a blend, you never know. Probably chill filtered as well. Leaves okay legs on the glass there. Looks pretty good. It's slightly dark amber color. So we'll go right to the aroma. Yeah, it's got a very heathery, honey, typical sort of Speyside character to it. You're getting a little bit of graininess out of it, out of the malt. No big alcohol sting. It's one of those very nice and subtle, ease you into whiskey drinking kind of things, and I think that is essentially the whole marketing scheme behind this, is to make a nice introductory malt for people just getting in the single malts. And it's just incredibly typically Speyside to the point where it's almost boring in a way. I'm getting pear, I'm getting apple, maybe a teeniest little hint of like a toffee caramel thing. But it's mostly honey, heather, and just the pure maltiness coming up. Not getting a lot of wood, and I'm getting a little bit of sherry as well. So yeah, it smells very nice. I think anyone who's watched enough of my reviews now knows that I'm not really for this side of whiskeys all that much. I'm not much on the sweet side of whiskeys too much, but it smells okay. It's not one of those ones that's cloying. It's not too sweet. So we're going to go right to the taste now and see what we think. Cheers. Again, heather and honey right up front. The nice thing about the taste is the wood actually does come out in the actual taste. I'm getting the oak like big time in the back. It's not particularly complex. It is, again, it's an introductory malt. It's very, very simple. It's essentially just a whole bunch up of sweetness. Like, if you draw on it long enough, maybe if you add a little water, you could probably open it up and get some notes, but there's really not a lot going on in this one. I've had several budget blends that have more character and more taste than this single malt does, but it tastes okay. I'm getting a nice little bit of nuttiness, a little bit of toffee. And again, it just finishes with this sort of bland wood. Not a lot of vanilla or anything coming out of it, but you know, it's mostly sherry cask or whatever. So, it's okay. But as you can see, I've had this bottle now, like I said, for a few weeks, and that's all I've drank out of it. So, as you can imagine, I'm not that impressed with it. Yeah, I did a lot of research for a Scotch that really doesn't. I got more value out of actually researching this than I did drinking it, I think. It is a little bit warm and going down. It's nice. That's what I'll say. It's not a bad whiskey at all. It's just very there. I think the best I can give this is a C+, bordering on a B-. Yeah, I might even go B-. Just maybe I'm in a good mood or something, I don't know, but yeah, it's very, very pleasant. It doesn't have a lot to offer for anyone who's been drinking a lot of single malts. Like, if you go into this, you're getting a very bland, typical sort of Speyside kind of thing, and there's better Speysides out there to go through, including Glenfiddich. So yeah, we will go B- on this, the Singleton of Glendullan. I am kind of interested though in seeing if I can find, because there's also the original Glendullan distillery was eventually shut down. Like, they built another one right next to it, and for a while they were producing out of both. And there are single bottlings of just the Glendullan out there, so I'd be interested in if I could ever find that and try it. If I could ever find the other Singleton brands, like Singleton of Dufftown, Singleton of Glen Ord, that might be very interesting to try those. It gets me curious, because sometimes there's just no information out there about some of these things. You really got to dig deep to find all the different variances and all the different things that the distilleries have been doing. But yeah, B-. I've gone on long enough now, guys. So good drinking to you, and we will see you guys again in the next booze review.